Today, we're just outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania to take a look at a large steam locomotive. This is the last one on our tour and also one of the most interesting. Stay tuned. Hi, I'm Eric. For my 50th birthday, my wife is sending me on a 2-week adventure to see as many steam locomotives as I can. But I'm not taking this trip alone. I'll be joined by my son Carson and our good friend Chris. Now, Chris and I have both worked in the tourist railroad industry for many years. So along the way, we're going to catch up with some old friends and meet some new ones. We're going to get some special behind-the-scenes access into things that most people don't normally see, and also offer insight into the complicated machinery of steam locomotives and the world of tourist railroading. So join us on this epic adventure where each day brings a new discovery. So we're looking at Bessemer and Lake Erie, number 643. This is another locomotive in the Age of Steam Roundhouse collection that they purchased. It's been here in Pittsburgh. It was in a building. The building got torn down. The guy that owned it died. And Age of Steam managed to buy it at an auction or something. I don't remember the details. I think they bought it at an auction. They are going to move it out to their location out at Sugarcreek eventually. Apparently that they started working on it. That's why the boiler and the frame are separated. And it's on hold. Bessemer and Lake Erie number 643 is a Baldwin product, built in 1944 to haul coal and iron ore between Pittsburgh and Lake Erie. It has a 210-4 wheel arrangement, is 108 feet long, and weighs 454 tons in operable condition. Jerry Jacobson called this locomotive the King because it's one of the largest non-articulated locomotives in the world. But why this locomotive is significant to me is at one time Grand Canyon Railway had intentions of buying this locomotive. They planned on buying this and using that on the line to run to the Grand Canyon back in the very beginning when they were getting ready to start operations. This is one of the locomotives they looked at. They expected to buy it. They planned on buying it and using it. So when they made the initial logo for Grand Canyon Railway that has the logo of the steam locomotive kind of coming out of the Grand Canyon, that very artistic logo that everybody loves, this is the locomotive that they used for the rendition on that logo. Of course, Grand Canyon Railway never bought it, and as a 210-4, I can't imagine running this locomotive up to the Grand Canyon on 12-degree curves. It would have been a real beast and probably hard on the track. But the smoke box is missing. Smoke box cover is missing. I'm sure they've got it in storage. Age of Steam removed it or something. So they removed it in order to be able to get in here and strip the locomotive to be able to separate it from the frame. But with this like this open, you can see the superheater elements. Okay, so your superheater header is up there. And these are the superheater elements that then run through the boiler. Wow, it's got a lot of superheaters. That is a bunch. 4960's got 36. And this one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 rows. And I bet it's probably, how many deep? Oh, these are a different type of superheaters. I don't remember the difference between types A's and type C's. This is a different type that 4960 has, it looks like. So they make, yeah, so they go through smaller tubes. That's why there's so many. That's common on more modern locomotives. The 3751, I think, has them, and the 2926, and a lot of the bigger engines have that other type of superheater. But the question is how are they going to get this out of here? So from what Tim told me at Age of Steam, there's the CSX main line right there. The trackage out of here has long since been pulled up, but he says that their plan is that they're going to run some panel track in here and load this thing on flat cars. It's going to take some cooperation from CSX. Hopefully they're able to make that happen. Here is the frame and the running gear. So there's your steam saddle. I mean, this is going to look really awesome when you walk into the Age of Steam Roundhouse, and I'm guessing they're probably going to put it there between the northern and the Pacific or something. So right there in the centerpiece of the roundhouse and where all the biggest engines are, and this will be the biggest engine in their collection. You know, it's all fixed up and cleaned up. It's going to look pretty impressive. It'll be pretty slick. But big old 210 Ford Texas type. And Carson was very excited because there's still coal in the ash pan. Yeah, pretty neat. Pretty neat. Booster engine on the trailing truck.
Oh yeah, there is. So it's all still here. Probably never gonna run again, but it's all here.
Yeah, and probably never gonna run again. And what's sad about it is supposedly they actually worked on this engine back in the 1990s or late 80s, early 90s in order to get it runnable, supposedly fired it up and then ran it back and forth on compressed air just right here in this area. And so it was all restored and ready to go, but it didn't have a place to run it. But this engine is so big, there's very few places where you could really run it and not worry about damaging your track.
It's a really big engine.
It's a big, heavy engine. So let's point out this front end throttle over here, because this was another convenience of modern locomotives. In the superheater header, in the smoke box, you have your, is where your throttle is. So whereas a lot of older style locomotives, like the ones we have, your throttle is in the steam dome, which is up there, they had a front end throttle. So the throttle is in the superheater header. And you can't actually see the throttle, but it's in there, right? And it has poppet valves and a cam. Well, it's controlled through a linkage right here on the outside of the smoke box that runs back to the cab, and that's what controls the throttle. Now in the cab, one way to really tell whether or not you've got a front end throttle or a steam dome throttle or an internal throttle is you have the linkage will be, for a front end throttle, will be off the ceiling, and for a dome throttle, it comes off the back head. Check out this middle driver. This is your main driver. This is where your main rod connects, right?
It has a different type of, it has a thicker rod. I noticed that. It has a thicker rod joint. And it also it doesn't have these, it doesn't have the, what are these? Okay.
Yeah. Now this is a disc, and see how it's called a disc. So it's a disc.
I think it's because that's where all the weight is being put on.
It's supposed to be. It's supposed to be balanced better. A disc driver is supposed to be balanced better, but also notice it's missing it's missing here.
It's missing the flange weight.
It's missing a
model train.
So
it's mainly for traction.
Yep. So
but because it's so long, if they had all 10 of the wheels flanged at the flanges, it wouldn't be able to turn.
Yeah. So the fact that they have it's called a blind driver in the middle, which means that they did that in order to help it go around tighter curves. Yep.
That's pretty cool.
Thanks for joining us on our epic steam adventure. I'm really glad I was able to bring you along, and I hope you really enjoyed it. So let's take a look at our grand total of steam locomotives that we've seen on this trip. With the 643, we're at a total of 122 steam locomotives that we've encountered on this 2-week trip, and all of them within a few hours' drive of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It's hard to believe just how many steam locomotives are still in existence in this country, if you know where to look for them. With the conclusion of this series, I'm looking forward to moving on to other projects. I'm never out of ideas, so stay tuned and see what's coming up next.